Welcome back to Session 0, where I discuss Dungeon World every Wednesday. Today I want to take a look at 5 things from the first Marvel Champions campaign, The Rise of Red Skull, that you can use in Dungeon World. Among the Fantasy Flight Games cooperative LCGs, I have many more hours playing Marvel Champions, despite it coming out long after Lord of the Rings and Arkham Horror. It also fits more easily into my 5 Things for Dungeon World series, because each campaign for Marvel Champions has exactly 5 scenarios. This lets me pick one thing from each scenario which I can convert for Dungeon World. So let's get into The Rise of Red Skull. The first villain in The Rise of Red Skull is Crossbones. I'm not really concerned with the campaign's narrative at this point, so I'm only looking at card art. These 3 images give me some fun ideas, and even the text on this card translate into a move, because stunned and confused are character abilities. I made a monster called Old Bones, a sentient, undead skeleton who made a bargain with death long ago. The nature of that bargain is up to you, but I like the idea of a mercenary tracking down souls who have escaped the Black Gaze. I also gave him 2 interesting special qualities. He's neutral, so you can have some fun RP with him, and skeletal anatomy, which makes ranged attacks against him only hit on a 10+. This really turns ranged attacks back on the characters. Not only is he harder to hit at range, he also has a crossbow of his own, and he's more dangerous to confront in melee because his bone dagger ignores armor. I think Crossbone makes a fun conversion to Dungeon World. The second villain is Absorbing Man, and he's a little boring, but his shtick is that he absorbs the elements around him and uses them against his enemies. His primary weapon is a ball and chain, and that's pretty close to a flail, so I made an elemental flail. Each morning, or whenever your character wakes up, you choose an element which imbues the flail. Then when you hit in combat, you apply the elemental effect you chose for that day. Air lets you deal damage to magical enemies, earth sunders armor over time, fire burns and scars flesh, and water acts as holy water to turn undead. This lets the owner of the flail customize it based on what they think they're going to face each day. Undead today? Choose water. This should be a very rare item and probably have a name of its own. The third scenario is Taskmaster, who looks like he could have inspired Old Bones, especially since his main scheme is hunting down heroes. The narrative for this scenario is that the bad guys have used a Power Stone to alter reality and put themselves in charge. Anti-hero propaganda fills the street of New York, and the good guys, now bad guys, are being rounded up. The very first thing I thought of, well before even thinking about this video, was a danger called Kangaroo Court, which is a corrupt government with the impulse to maintain the status quo. I see 5 fun uses for this danger, each of which concerns capturing a character or one of their allies. Heroes truly are unwelcome in this place. The government is extorting characters to get them to do something for them. There's a case of mistaken identity, and the characters race to find the true culprit. The government of this place uses fear to control their citizens. And finally, this is a straight up frame job. Someone in power has done something bad, and someone needs to pay for it. This one is pretty far from the source material, but sometimes you just build something new from a tiny spark of inspiration. Next comes Zola, the hardest villain in the campaign. I didn't need to look far to find where I wanted to go with him though. He's definitely a mad doctor who creates bioservants. These could be flesh golems, bone golems, etc. He wants to become famous for creating an army of undead bioservants. Characters need to be careful. They may be considered promising specimens, and Sholoff will give the order to acquire such specimens. The final villain is unsurprisingly Red Skull. He uses a ton of schemes against you, and will get one in play every single turn. One in particular summons a giant frickin' robot called the Sleeper. I thought it would be cool to create a danger that summons something, but I'll leave it up to you to decide what that is. I used the Cursed Place danger type and had a little fun with the danger's name and impending doom. I've given it 5 Grim Portents because I feel this could be a danger in a campaign front. One of the things that makes Marvel Champions so replayable is its modularity. Pick a hero, pick an aspect, choose a villain, and decide on which modular sets you want to use with that villain. In the same way, this Dungeon World content is modular. You can combine each of these in different ways to tell different stories by making some small changes. Maybe Sho'loff created Old Bones, and Old Bones killed someone. Now your ranger is being accused of the crime. Maybe Old Bones was summoned and he carries the elemental flail. Maybe Sho'loff has created his army of bioservants for the Duke, and they each carry an elemental flail. The Duke does not want heroes interfering with his plans, so he's rounding them up and taking them out. Just use some creativity here and you can combine these in all kinds of ways. That's it for this one. Let me know in the comments how you'd use these. You know what to do if you like my content. Thanks for watching, and I hope you come back next week when I look at some tools and procedures I use for creating and crawling dungeons. Have a great day.